Do you find yourself in the same conflict patterns over and over and over again? Does it feel like we're just on repeat with some of the discussions that we're having and how we seem to handle situations when we start to get upset? I am Jennifer Evans. As a licensed mental health counselor, I work with people all the time on how to become their best self, how to live a happier and healthier life, and how to get out of the destructive patterns that they get into. This week, we're going to look at conflict resolutions from our Interpersonal Skills workbook from Key Steps to Live a Happier and Healthier Life. And in that workbook, what we're finding is that there are predictabilities of behaviors and how we interact with others. And so we look at the collective intelligence, we look at Jungian collective unconscious, interpersonal skills, just basic, how to validate somebody else and how to negotiate our own value, triangulation and how we get into these difficult situations and the clinical rationale behind it. And today we're going to talk about kind of interactions being like a game. And so you have the players on the field, you have the coach, you have the spectators, the commentator, the groundskeeper. You have all these different roles in which a sporting event happens. And so this is very similar and symbolic of what happens in a conflict. In a conflict, because of that negative dynamic, emotional reactions feed cognitive distortions or invalid data points. It picks up on our attachment, builds our negative narrative. The gratitude suffering spectrum comes out. We go into our trauma or past stress, which creates a filter of a perceived reality and how we interact with others and how we perceive people are interacting and what they're saying to us. If you've ever been in an argument, especially romantic partnership, where they say or you say, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. You, my friend, are in a perceived reality. And as we're in a perceived reality, we're invoicing people. We're trying to get them in these triangulated states of keeping us in our perceived reality and wanting to validate that perceived reality. We get into perceived expectations. Imagine that. What people should and could be doing. If you ever get pissed off and you're like, I just don't understand. It's so simple. I don't understand why they couldn't just do this. They should be able to just do this. Or we're anxious and we go really into the shoulda couldas when we're anxious, right? I can't believe I did that. Man, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I said that. I should have done this. I should have done that. I can't believe I don't speak up for myself. I should have been able to. Perceived reality that causes an explicit emotional expression. And for some, that dysregulation is shutting down. We are not sharing emotions at all. And for others, it is anger outbursts, or it is crying and being just really emotionally unstable. It's just, you cannot control those emotions. They are just coming out of you. And then it leads right back to that cycle, emotional reactions. What I want to do is be able to understand what is happening and know what is at the center of all of this is our universal constructs. And our universal constructs go back to the previous videos. It was 6 weeks ago now. In the book 2, How to Live a Happier and Healthier Life, we talk about emotional regulation. We wrap the whole thing up with universal constructs, the 5 things we all need in order to feel safe and secure. This is what we need in life, these 5 universal needs. We all have them, but how we protect against them, how we prevent them, how we defend against them, defensive and offensive, we just talked about that yesterday. All of these things get so complicated and different, and that's why it's so hard to interact with each other in the world, is because we all have different ways of how we built and tiered these universal constructs and what's more important and what's like, oh, that's never going to be gone. Like that is a closed door. We are good to go. And others are like, nothing is closed. There's never a closed door. I'm never safe. And everything in between, because nothing's dichotomous, right? That's when we're in an anxious state. And so these universal constructs are these little spidey senses that say, danger, 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 something is not right. We really need to protect ourselves. And some people will do that anxiously, as we found out yesterday, on an offense, and some people on a defense. And so what we're trying to do is understand what our protective responses are. Are we the coach? Are we trying to kind of create an authoritative presence as a result of these stressors and being triggered and feeling unsafe? Are we the groundskeeper? We're just trying to stay quiet in the background and make sure everything looks nice and pretty for when people come around. Are we the commentator? Are we kind of in the background just kind of saying, okay, this is what we got. Man, look at him coming in hot. Here's what's going on. Are we trying to kind of appease and create a distance from the actual sport? Are we one of the players? Are we constantly on the offense and defense and we get stuck in those modes? Each conflict role has a unique strength and blind spots affecting your success. So it's important to know what role you are taking on, because awareness, acceptance, and action. And as we know the role that we take on, then we can say, this is how I'm going to approach it. I am triggered right now. This is how I will approach this. And instead of getting defensive, we say, oh, my doors are open. I just need to start closing my doors. I need to ground and be present and start closing doors. And so as a professional brain coach, as a licensed mental health counselor, some of the techniques that I use in order to shift the positions so that we can be more neutral and play a wider game, right? I always go back to Ted Lasso. Man, do I love me some Ted Lasso, right? That the triangle approach worked for them because they decided to take away traditional positions and they decided to work as a team. And as long as they could be intentional and mindful of where everybody is, they could play any position on the field. They just had to keep their two people with them. And that's kind of like this, right? It allows you to shift for what you need in order to find and become the equalizer state. And the book goes in depth into what an equalizer is and the power of neutral. And finding that equalizer state allows us to zoom out, to find the values of the commentary, to say valid data points. Oh, these are the things that are happening. It allows us to get on the field and be really action oriented and say, hey, I'm going to dribble to you. Let's work together. I'm going to dribble to you and I'm going to call out what my moves are because we're going to be on the same team. We should not be on a different team. We are on the same team. It could be the coach, which can be very nurturing or very assertive so that we're setting our values, our boundaries, so that we can negotiate what our values are. And it can be a groundskeeper, just kind of making things just really nice and neutral as we ground into our here and now. And as we are shifting these positions, we want to know how mental health improves when you are consciously choosing your role in disagreements. And so what that means is the more mindful and intentional we are. I have a lot of videos, so go to the past on setting intentions and living an intention-driven life, especially when it comes to understanding we can't control outcomes. It's all about these processes we put in place. Did that a couple weeks ago, so take a look. When we are setting an intention, what we're doing is we're grounding, we're mastering the inner game, we're getting out of the emotional reaction, we're getting off of that negative dynamic, as fun as it is in there, the whole book about the negative dynamic and every single part we discuss. and we go through and how to master each part of that negative dynamic so we can get off of it and we can maximize on it. Interpersonal skills or interpersonal effectiveness workbook is saying, now that you know all the pieces of the negative dynamic, now let's go and interact with other people, and then how do we maximize on the interactions with others so that we are constantly kind of getting our way. We are maximizing and mastering situations so that we are getting the full value out of every interaction. Wouldn't that be nice? How many times do we feel like we have no value? We don't feel seen or heard. We don't feel like we belong. We just feel like we're just kind of there. And sometimes we have a little bit of agency, but not fully. Do we feel like there's a lot of agency that we have in our interactions with people? And that's because of the emotional regulation piece. That's because in the past we were told to suppress. There are 9 invalidating environments that we go through in that second book, Emotional Regulation. It's a great book. Go check it out. The link is in the video description. And so when we are on top of all of these things, then what we're doing is we're finding awareness, acceptance, and action. Those are the 3 steps that will get you through anything, will change your life. It's a part of my neuroscience-backed framework to help people live happier and healthier, more purpose-driven lives. Awareness, acceptance, action. And so some of the techniques that we're going to do is we're going to ground. We're going to find our sense of presence. We're going to accept what role we're in and what role is most effective for this. And we're going to pull on our action and build our toolkit. That's where coaching and therapy really comes in, is to help you build a bigger toolkit. My husband is a contractor, and so he's one of the most organized people I've ever seen. He has a whole cabinet, and then he has all these smaller bags within the cabinet. And he has the big bag, which is all of his basic tools, your hammer, your screwdriver, all the drills, like all your basic tools, probably even like some gloves and, different types of gloves, things like that. But then he has the specialty toolkits. So he has his electrician toolkit. He has his HVAC toolkit. He has his plumber's toolkit. So he has all these specialty tools. And that is what therapy and coaching does, you can kind of get your own anybody can have a general toolkit, right? They can have their coping skills. They can know, I should probably have a timeout. They love to have their labels and say, this is a trigger moment. You can have your basic hammer, nails, screwdriver toolkit. We all have it in our house. But what coaching and therapy does is it gives you the specialist toolkits. It really gives you what you need to have specific answers to every problem that ever could arise in your life. And so some of these techniques is finding the equalizer state, to find the power of neutral, to be able to just be present and not get wrapped up in all the emotion that's happening. In mastering the inner game, we have that emotional regulation, we have the grounding that leads us to leadership skills using the executive function, self-awareness, and social intelligence. This book in this series, in these last 6 weeks, and we have 3 more weeks to go, have been on looking at social and building social intelligence. We did last 9 weeks, we did emotional regulation, and in the very beginning, we did leadership style. And so these are the foundations to living a happier and healthier life. And the last 25 videos are weeks of videos, I should say. So now you're at 75 videos, 100 videos, 100 videos, all on mastering the inner game. So go take a look at them, subscribe to learn more, to get up to date on the new things. We're going to get into one of the things I'm really proud about is an empathy algorithm. Stress will create burnout, which creates no ability to have emotional connection with people. Mental health also can create this lacking of emotional connection as well as trauma. And so this empathy algorithm is actually, we're going to go step by step into how to have effective interactions with people, to let people feel seen and heard so that you can feel seen and heard and validated and be able to maximize on that conversation to get what you need out of it, to get your value seen and taken. So that is what is the main pieces of how we are working through this and how coaching can help you really maximize on your best self. It's living a happier and healthier, more purpose-driven life. And if you want, you can click on a link in the video description for a free 15-minute wellness insight. You can also go to my website. I have lots of articles. So we're actually going to go through and there's going to be a quiz so you can find out what your role is in a conflict. So go check it out. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. Like this if you like it. Subscribe so you can learn more. And definitely share with others. Give them that link. Find out what their role is as well. Go to the quiz. I'm telling you, it is life-changing. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Today's insights helped you to reflect more on insights on how to live more intentionally in your relationships or in your professional or personal growth. Please give this video a like and thumbs up and share it with others who could also use the insight and support. Each week, I dive into these real strategies that are coming out of my book, Key Steps to Live a Happier and Healthier Life, Part 3, Interpersonal Effectiveness. So please be sure to subscribe and to join us each week to learn more about how to create deeper, more meaningful connections, set healthier boundaries, and live a purpose-driven life. All of the principles I teach in my workbook. Your growth matters, so thank you for being here. Let's keep building a happier and healthier life together, one step at a time.